Hello, my name is Asha Von Doyen, and I'm in the Student Affairs Office at Smith College, working with our international students. This is the second in a series of videos about Optional Practical Training, or OPT. In the first video, we talked a lot about what OPT is, and if you have not watched that, you should watch that video first. So this video is more about how to apply if you have decided that you want to pursue an OPT. You have to apply 90 days, no earlier than 90 days before the end of your program. Your program ends at graduation. I know if you look carefully at your I-20s, you'll see that most of you have an end date for your program of 5/31. But the actual end date is 5/18. That's your graduation date for 2014. It's always between the 15th and the 20th. So 90 days prior to that, in mid-February, you're allowed to apply. You can apply right through the end of your program and during your grace period. That means that you can apply typically through the middle of July. Please do not wait until the middle of July. There's still things that have to happen. You have to fill out applications. We have to create a packet. We have to generate a new I-20 for you. And you have to send that packet, and it has to be received and the processing started. And if that does not happen, there is no way to fix it. Okay? So it's important that you try to apply as early as you can. In addition, the card can take a long time to get to you. So if you're applying very late and you have a job that starts in, say, August, you're not going to have the card in time to start that job. Okay? So there are a couple of things that you need to do. There are applications on our website at www.smith.edu/interstudents for you to apply for OPT. There are two forms you have to fill out. The first is an I-538 and the second is an I-765. In addition to those documents, you should also bring your passport, your I-20s, your I-94, a check drawn on a U.S. bank for $380 made out to USCIS. That's USCIS. And you also need to bring two passport photos, 2-inch by 2-inch photos. I talk a little bit in the seminar that we do about where to get those photos taken. But it's important that you have those photos with you. So those are the documents that you need to bring. Again, I-538, which is on our website, the I-765, which is on our website, your passport. If you have a visa in an old passport, if your current U.S. visa is in your old passport, you need to bring the old passport too. Usually they staple them together if that's the case. All I-20s, and I do mean all I-20s. If you were issued I-20s in high school, we need those. And your I-94, which they no longer staple in the passport, though some of you may still have the little card on cardstock that gets stapled into your passport if you haven't left the United States in a little while. Otherwise, there's a website you can go to. You can just Google I-94 retrieval. You'll see a Customs and Border Protection website that allows you to pull that I-94 out. So that's what you need to bring. And we'll talk a little bit more about what's involved with the forms in a moment. What you're looking at here is the I-538. It's the first of the two forms that you need to fill out. You'll see that Section A is highlighted in a big red block. That's the section that you need to fill out yourself. We know that you're going to have problems with number 3, student admission number. It's asking in a really strange way for the number from your I-94, so that's what you should put. We also know that sometimes you get confused what to put under number 6. Number 6 is your major field of study, and it's important to put the major that you intend to use for OPT. If you are an econ math major, you might want to put math here so that you can get a STEM extension. Number 7 is something really that you're going to fill out while you're in our office. You're talking to us about what your potential employment is, and we'll review why that needs to be related to your field. And then finally, under number 8, if you have had CPT, you need to list it here. Okay? So in addition to the I-538, you also need to fill out an I-765. Please do not write in the block that says do not write in this block. Start with I am applying for, and in that section you want to check permission to accept employment. We're going to ask you to leave number 3, which is your address in the United States, blank. We'll be using our address here, and we will mail you the card when it gets here if you've left. Number 10 is your I-94 number. Be sure to fill it out, and make sure you bring a copy of your I-94 with you. If you've done OPT before, you're going to note that under number 11. The office for OPT, if you applied from Smith, is going to be Vermont. And you can leave numbers 16 and 17 blank. Those are things that we will fill out for you when you come for OPT. So now you've got all of your forms. We'll talk to you a little bit about what else is involved. So now that we've looked at the forms a little bit, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you need to do. You need to make an appointment with Dean Caitlin or myself. It will be about an hour long, and I know a lot of students think we can just do these in 10 minutes. That's not the case. It usually takes about an hour. So what will we do? We'll talk about how your job is related to your field. We'll discuss the implications of travel, because there are some restrictions while you're on OPT. We'll review all of your forms. We'll create a new I-20 for you that lists your primary major for your OPT and provides an OPT recommendation at the end. And then we'll make a packet. We'll make one copy for us and one copy for you to send. After the appointment, it is very important that you send the packet that we've given you promptly. Once we've generated the I-20, you only have 30 days for them to receive and start processing that OPT application. They have been very, very strict about that 30-day deadline lately. So it's important so that you don't have your OPT application rejected, because they don't just send it back to you and say, oh, this is past 30 days. They cash your $380 check. Then they send it back to you and say, oh, you sent this to us too late, which means that in order to do your OPT, we then have to generate a new OPT request, and you have to pay that $380 again. We don't want that to happen, so be sure that you send it in promptly. Another thing, you're responsible for sending it. I tell this story in the seminar, but I have had students come in and say, I haven't heard anything about my OPT yet. To which I respond, okay, well, when did you send it? And I have actually had students say, oh, I was supposed to send that form? Please do not do that. Make sure you send your form. So how long does it take for them to process? Well, by law, they have 90 days. And that's their position. They don't really rush these things. They receive them and they process them. And if you apply very early, it can take as little as 6 to 8 weeks if you're applying in February or the beginning of March. After spring break, it takes a little longer. It can take 8 to 10 weeks. If you're applying really close to graduation, that wait can get really long, very close to that 90-day mark. And I have seen some applications take as much as 11.5 weeks. So it can take a while for you to get that card. You want to be thinking about applying as early as you can. If you have a job offer, please make sure that we're aware of it. You are not required to as a senior doing post-completion OPT. For students who are returning in the fall and are doing pre-completion OPT, which is relatively rare now, you do also need a job offer letter. But if you're a graduating senior, you don't have to have secured a job to apply for OPT. But if you have, make sure you bring that letter with you. We need it in order to set your start dates. So again, it can take a long time. For most of our students, they're applying just after spring break, and that means it's going to take probably between 8 to 10 weeks for most of those to get processed. If you need to travel after you've gotten your OPT and you've graduated, it's very important to know the following. You need to bring the new OPT I-20. Your old I-20 is not going to help you. It does not show the OPT on it. And you're going to get to the border, and they're going to look, and they're going to see your program completion date, and they're going to say, why are you coming back? If you have your OPT I-20 that we've signed for you during our meeting with you, then you can turn to the third page and say, I have optional practical training. Then they're going to say to you, well, do you have a job? So it's very important that you also bring a copy of your offer letter with you if you travel out of the country. And if your entry visa is expiring, you will need your EAD card, which is the employment authorization document that they send you that shows the work authorization. Looks a little bit like a driver's license. It is not a travel document. However, the embassies do require it in order to issue you a new visa. And they will also want to see the OPT I-20 and the offer letter. So those are the things you need if you're traveling out of the country. So hopefully now you have an idea of what this application process looks like. Please make sure that you make an appointment. You need to let the students at the front desk or at the Global Study Center know that it is an appointment for OPT. You need to make sure that you come bringing all of the materials that we've described, and you need to make sure that you schedule it for an hour, because it really does take an hour to do in most cases. Okay? Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.